Most human beings have an almost infinite capacity for taking things for granted. Aldous Huxley observed in his prescient 1932 novel Brave New World. Nearly a century later, as we scroll endlessly through feeds designed to capture our attention, pop pills to regulate our moods, and surrender our deepest thoughts to artificial intelligences, we might wonder if Huxley's dystopian vision has quietly materialized around us, not through the dramatic collapse that George Orwell imagined, but through the seductive embrace of technologies that promise comfort, convenience, and connection, while slowly dissolving the foundations of human autonomy. The question is no longer whether we are living in a brave new world, but whether we have become so accustomed to its contours that we no longer recognize the cage we have built for ourselves. Unlike the boot stamping on a human face that Orwell envisioned as the future of humanity, Huxley's dystopia operates through pleasure rather than pain, through distraction rather than oppression, through the gentle manipulation of desires, rather than the crude exercise of force. In his imagined world state, citizens are kept docile not through fear but through entertainment, pharmaceutical interventions, and the careful engineering of satisfaction. A really efficient totalitarian state, Huxley wrote, would be one in which the all-powerful executive of political bosses, and their army of managers, control a population of slaves who do not have to be coerced, because they love their servitude. As we witness the rise of social media platforms that know our preferences better than we do, streaming services that predict our entertainment needs with uncanny accuracy, and pharmaceutical solutions for every form of psychological discomfort, we must ask ourselves, have we already learned to love our servitude? The parallels between Huxley's fictional world state and our emerging digital reality are both striking and disturbing. In Brave New World, the drug soma provides instant relief from any form of psychological discomfort, allowing citizens to escape into chemical bliss whenever reality becomes too challenging. And if ever, by some unlucky chance, anything unpleasant should somehow happen, why there's always soma to give you a holiday from the facts. Today we possess our own version of soma, in the form of antidepressants, anxiety medications, and stimulants that promise to optimize our mental states, combined with digital distractions that offer immediate escape from discomfort. The average American now spends over 7 hours per day staring at screens, much of it consuming content designed to trigger dopamine responses that keep us coming back for more. We have created a society where boredom, sadness, or even momentary discomfort are seen as problems to be immediately solved, rather than experiences to be understood or integrated into a meaningful life. In Huxley's world, citizens are conditioned from birth to accept their assigned roles in society, through a combination of sleep teaching, classical conditioning, and carefully controlled experiences. 62,400 repetitions make one truth, declares one of the novel's administrators, highlighting how repetition can transform arbitrary assertions into unquestioned reality. Our contemporary conditioning operates through different but equally powerful mechanisms: algorithmic feeds that reinforce our existing beliefs, creating echo chambers where dissenting views are filtered out, recommendation systems that gradually shape our preferences by presenting us with increasingly narrow ranges of options, and behavioral modification techniques embedded in app design that exploit psychological vulnerabilities to maximize engagement. The hypnopedic slogans of Brave New World, "Everyone belongs to everyone else," "A gram is better than a dam," find their modern equivalents in the mantras of Silicon Valley. "Don't be evil," "Move fast and break things," "Connecting the world." These phrases, repeated endlessly, shape our perception of technological progress as inherently beneficial, while obscuring the more complex realities of digital transformation. The sexual liberation depicted in Brave New World, where promiscuity is encouraged and deep emotional connections are discouraged, finds disturbing parallels in our digital age's approach to intimacy and relationships. Dating apps reduce potential partners to a series of swipes based on superficial characteristics, gamifying human connection in ways that undermine the development of genuine intimacy. Pornography, more accessible than ever before, shapes sexual expectations in ways that often conflict with authentic human connection. Social media platforms encourage us to present curated versions of ourselves while consuming similarly artificial presentations of others' lives, creating a culture of perpetual performance that makes genuine vulnerability increasingly difficult. But everyone belongs to everyone else. The citizens of Brave New World repeat, justifying a system where individual emotional bonds are seen as dangerous obstacles to social stability. In our world, the equivalent might be the assumption that all information should be shared, all experiences should be documented, and all connections should be mediated through technological platforms designed to extract value from our interactions. Perhaps most chillingly, Huxley's world state maintains control not through censorship, but through the overwhelming abundance of information and entertainment that makes sustained attention to important matters nearly impossible. In the past we could say a lot of things. The past is whatever the party chooses to make it, wrote Orwell. But Huxley understood that controlling the past becomes unnecessary when you can control the present moment so completely that citizens lose the capacity for historical thinking altogether. What's the point of truth or beauty or knowledge when the anthrax bombs are popping all around you? That was when science first began to feel its conscience. In our era, anthrax bombs have been replaced by notification badges, breaking news alerts, and a constant stream of content designed to capture and monetize our attention. We are drowning in information while starving for wisdom, overwhelmed by choices while losing the capacity for meaningful decision-making. The rise of artificial intelligence adds new dimensions to Huxley's vision that even his prescient imagination could not have anticipated. In Brave New World, the world controllers possess complete knowledge of their society and use this knowledge to maintain stability through careful manipulation. Today's tech giants accumulate unprecedented amounts of data about human behavior, preferences, and psychological patterns, using this information to influence our choices in ways that are often invisible to us. Machine learning algorithms can predict our behavior with greater accuracy than we can predict it ourselves, raising profound questions about free will and human agency. When an AI can determine with 85% accuracy whether someone will default on a loan, develop depression, or vote for a particular candidate based on their digital footprints, what does this say about our cherished beliefs in individual autonomy and self-determination? The world controllers at least acknowledge their role in shaping society. Our digital controllers, on the other hand, often hide behind claims of neutral algorithm optimization, while exercising unprecedented influence over human consciousness. The economic implications of our brave new digital world extend far beyond individual privacy concerns to fundamental questions about human value and purpose. In Huxley's novel, humans are bred and conditioned for specific economic functions, with alphas performing intellectual work and epsilons handling manual labor. Our economy increasingly resembles this caste system, with a small class of technical elites designing systems that extract value from the behavioral data and attention of the masses. The gig economy promises freedom and flexibility, but actually creates new forms of precarious labor, where workers are constantly monitored and rated by algorithmic systems. Meanwhile, the prospect of artificial intelligence automating many forms of human work raises the specter of mass unemployment and the potential need for soma-like distractions to keep displaced populations content. Community, identity, stability, reads the motto of Brave New World's world state. Today's equivalent might be efficiency, optimization, growth. Values that sound benign but may ultimately prove equally destructive to human flourishing. The psychological conditioning described in Brave New World operates through the careful management of pleasure and pain to create citizens who genuinely desire what the system needs them to want. Modern behavioral design employs remarkably similar techniques, using variable reward schedules, social validation mechanisms, and carefully calibrated feedback loops to shape human behavior. Social media platforms employ teams of neuroscientists and behavioral economists to make their products as addictive as possible, creating what some researchers call digital addiction patterns that mirror those found in gambling and substance abuse. The like button, the notification sound, the endless scroll. These features are not accidental. but are carefully designed to hijack our brain's reward systems. But I don't want comfort. I want God. I want poetry. I want real danger. I want freedom. I want goodness. I want sin, declares John the Savage in Brave New World, rejecting the sterile satisfaction offered by the world state. Yet our digital systems seem designed to make such rejection increasingly difficult, surrounding us with comfort and convenience, while gradually eroding our capacity for the kind of authentic struggle that gives life meaning. The educational implications of our digital transformation mirror those depicted in Huxley's novel, with disturbing precision. In Brave New World, children receive their knowledge through sleep teaching and conditioning, rather than through active learning and critical thinking. Today's students often struggle to focus for extended periods, having been shaped by digital environments that reward rapid task switching and immediate gratification. Educational technology, while offering unprecedented access to information, often emphasizes consumption of pre-packaged content over the development of critical thinking skills. The ability to quickly find information online may be coming at the cost of the ability to think deeply about complex problems. Words can be like X-rays. If you use them properly, they'll go through anything. You read and you're pierced, Huxley wrote. Yet our current information ecosystem seems designed to prevent such piercing, offering instead a constant stream of surface-level content that keeps us informed but not transformed. The political dimensions of our brave new digital world present perhaps the most serious long-term threats to democratic society. Huxley's world state maintains stability, not through political oppression but by making politics irrelevant, creating a culture where citizens are too distracted and satisfied to demand meaningful participation in governance. Contemporary democracies face similar challenges, as social media platforms enable the spread of misinformation, create polarized echo chambers, and reduce complex political issues to viral soundbites. The attention economy rewards the most emotionally provocative content, rather than the most informative, gradually degrading the quality of public discourse. Political campaigns now operate more like marketing operations, using the same behavioral targeting techniques employed by advertisers to manipulate voter behavior. When citizens receive their political information through algorithms designed to maximize engagement, rather than promote understanding, democracy itself becomes vulnerable to the same forces that Huxley identified as threats to human autonomy. The pharmaceutical dimension of Huxley's vision has materialized in ways that are both more and less dramatic than he imagined. While we do not yet have soma in its pure fictional form, a single drug that provides euphoria without side effects, we live in an era of unprecedented pharmaceutical intervention in human consciousness. Antidepressants are prescribed to 1 in 8 Americans, often for conditions that previous generations might have understood as normal responses to difficult life circumstances. The rise of cosmetic neurology, the use of cognitive-enhancing drugs by healthy individuals, mirrors the casual drug use depicted in Brave New World, where chemical mood regulation is seen as a normal part of daily life. The opioid crisis demonstrates what can happen when pharmaceutical solutions to human suffering become disconnected from a deeper understanding of the sources of that suffering. 1 cubic centimeter cures 10 gloomy sentiments, citizens of the world state are taught. Our equivalent might be the assumption that every form of psychological distress should be immediately medicalized, rather than understood as potentially meaningful information about our lives and circumstances. Yet perhaps the most insidious aspect of our drift toward Huxley's nightmare is not any single technology or practice, but the gradual erosion of our capacity to imagine alternatives. In Brave New World, citizens cannot conceive of living differently, because they have been conditioned to see their current existence as natural and inevitable. Similarly, many of us struggle to imagine life without smartphones, social media, or the constant connectivity that now defines everyday existence. We adapt to each new technological intervention: surveillance cameras, fitness trackers, smart home devices that listen to our conversations, with remarkable speed, often forgetting what life was like before these intrusions became normalized. But I don't want comfort, John the Savage insists. The question is whether we still possess sufficient awareness of what we are losing to make similar declarations, or whether we have already become too comfortable with our digital servitude to recognize it as such. The path forward requires neither Luddite rejection of technology, nor naive acceptance of technological determinism, but rather the development of what we might call technological wisdom, the ability to distinguish between innovations that genuinely serve human flourishing and those that merely exploit our psychological vulnerabilities for profit. This wisdom demands that we recover our capacity for sustained attention, critical thinking, and meaningful human connection in an environment designed to undermine all three. It requires that we develop new forms of resistance to systems that seek to shape our behavior without our conscious consent. Most fundamentally, it demands that we remember what Huxley understood, that the greatest threats to human freedom often come disguised as conveniences, that the most effective forms of control operate through pleasure rather than pain. That vigilance against tyranny must include vigilance against our own willingness to trade autonomy for comfort. The brave new digital world is not an inevitable future, but a choice we make, moment by moment, click by click, swipe by swipe. The question is whether we will make that choice consciously, with full awareness of what we might gain, and what we will undoubtedly lose, or whether we will sleepwalk into Huxley's nightmare, while dreaming that we are living in utopia.